discussion we're going to start here in a second and put it on YouTube or something, let me know so I can share it with the other audience members. I'd like to thank you guys for coming today. I do want to point out this is set up for you guys so you can ask questions of myself and the other panel members. I'll introduce in just a second. But I also want to point out I do this so that you guys can look around and see each other. Every single one of you is part of this community, and this is an opportunity to find people in the community you may have only talked to online or never met before. I think because it's a Friday,
so this got everything.
Presentation tomorrow, this group is probably
with video
smaller.
everything.
That's good because it gives you all guys all more time to talk to the panel members, and it gives you more ability to talk to each other. Please take advantage of the opportunity to connect with each other while you're here. That's the main reason I do this, so that y'all can meet each other. Because when there's 10,000 people in here later this afternoon, it's going to be a lot harder to locate each other. And I'd like to thank every single one of y'all for coming out. The fact you're here on a Friday afternoon means a lot to me. I know a lot of you gave up work for that. I know it's a huge sacrifice to not go to work. I don't want to go to work. I had a nightmare that I went to work about a week ago. I woke up screaming. My wife's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I was in a cubicle." Anyway, I'd like to introduce the panel we put together for you guys this morning. To my left here is Mr. David Crawford, author of Lights Out. So those of you who have read his work but never seen him, that's what he looks like. Don't look directly into the light, it'll hurt you. Right here on my right is Frank Belcastro. Many of you may know him from his program on GBTV. It also had a pilot on History Channel. On the History Channel, it was called Apocalypse PA, and on the GBTV network, it was called Independence USA. He's graciously joined us today as well. And then here, the big man, Mr. Stephen Harris. Give Steve a round of applause. 15 episodes of TSP, and he's taught you guys just an amazing amount of information. So the way this is going to work, you guys just throw questions at us. You can throw it to one of us, or you can just ask it, and we'll look at each other and make one of us take it. It's up to you guys. And just throw a hand up, and we'll call on you.
I've got one, Jack. Jack, my question is about, I know we talk about the soil and improving soil quality and things of that nature, but I don't know if I've ever heard anything about beneficial nematodes and adding those to the soil.
Beneficial nematodes is the question. So adding beneficial nematodes to the soil, I think it's probably a really good practice. It's something I don't have a lot of experience with, to be honest with you. My view is that if you build healthy soil, the soil organisms themselves will propagate. So I'm more concerned with the quality of the soil and the life of the soil itself. And then I figure the native stuff will be there. But it's probably something I need to do more research into. But great lead-off question because I don't know. Anybody? Nematodes?
You know, I would have to agree 100%. You know, just sorry. I agree 100% with that. What I try to do is work very closely with the soil that I have, keeping it really organic, manures, compost, all the stuff in the kitchen. I try to keep like the yearly cycles in place in terms of, you know, the leaves and the grass and things like that.
We're going to jump into
Keep it as natural as possible, and I think that the organisms in the soil will thrive on their own. You raised a really good point that I think I'm going to look into.
Open the doors in about 20 minutes, guys.
I've got another question that's it's about the same aspect of the soil, is putting municipal water in the soil. Does that actually kill the bacteria, or?
Well, I don't think that it would be better to not irrigate at all if your garden needs irrigation, in opposed to using water from municipal sources. But there's no doubt, if you look at the way that your garden and your landscape responds after a rain versus how it responds after a heavy watering with municipal water, that there is a difference in the amount of life that's put in there. And you can see that too with a well. It's almost like you have these three layers. You have like a regular water supply, and it does help. It keeps it from dying. That's basically what you end up with. And then you get a well water, and you get a pretty good result. And when you get a good rain, you get an incredible result. You go out and everything smells different. It's brighter, it's greener. So I think there might be a bit of a detrimental effect there, but it wouldn't stop me from using it if it was my only source. I do think it's another reason to do things like rain catchment. The presentation I'm going to be doing tomorrow, I'm going to go deep into a lot of these things, including the contour-based gardens that I'm doing now with the wood cores. And on your nematode question too, I think that hugelkultur, wood core gardening, is another thing that you can do. And I don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow or not, but when I go through that, part of what I've discovered with the whole wood core stuff over this last year specifically that makes it work is that we're feeding the soil with carbon. So when you think about a 12-foot long bed with a 4-foot set of wood core in it, you've put about 1.5 tons of carbon organic material into that bed. And that, I mean, think how much compost you would have to put in to get that equivalent amount. I think that helps feed the soil a lot as well. And then I think that'll help counterbalance. I don't think using municipal water will kill the organisms, but I don't think it's what they want either. It's chlorine. That's the big problem with it. They don't care about the fluoride. You do, but the soil could care less about a little bit of fluoride in there.
On your woody beds, does it really matter, like the type of wood? If you had an abundance of wood mulch, could you just fill it with wood mulch or pallet scraps?
So on the hugelkultur wood beds, however you want to call them, you want to know, does it matter what kind of wood? I wouldn't use black locust. I wouldn't use black walnut because they're both about 70% fungicide and they'll take forever to break down. Anybody that's ever built a fence with black locust will tell you that. I wouldn't use cedar unless it was my only choice, and I wouldn't use pine unless it was my only choice, but I wouldn't not use either one of them. They both will work. I try to stick to hardwoods. If it's busted up pallets, as long as they're not treated, I don't care. If it's wood chips, I don't care. The only thing that changes when you use smaller busted up material is the system actually doesn't last as long because it's already in a state closer to being broken down. So I prefer to use large material, but I'll use whatever I can get. Sepp Holtz, who kind of made the whole thing famous, has built them out of rotted potatoes. So it's just a matter of having enough organic matter in that core to create the wick that draws the moisture up from the subsurface and it feeds the soil organisms as well.
Stephen, I watched 2 of the 3 battery backup videos you did. You talk about when charging them, you want to keep the amp hours same type or same size, the same type of batteries, the AGM, lead acid. When charging, what about when using? When using them, can you put them all in one 12-volt bank, or will different sizes and different styles cause any problems when actually using the batteries?
Okay, you said that you watched 2 of the 3 videos, right?
2, yes.
That was in the 3rd video. Okay, your question was about the batteries. You mixed some different terms. You said charging at a different rate, or
when you're charging, say, 125 amp hour batteries and 75 amp hour batteries, if that's what you have, you charge them separately.
yeah, I charge those separately.
Right. But when using them, can you put them together in one 12-volt bank and use them together?
You could, but I wouldn't. If you did, I'd use them for 50% of the time and split them.
Okay.
Generally, you're going to keep like with like throughout the whole process. So if you got 2 really dissimilar batteries, you're going to charge them separately. I mean, if you charged them all the way up and you wanted to keep them charged, you can connect them together to keep them charged once they were at their maximum level. But basically after that, you're going to want to split them apart. So pretty much, they're like adopted children. You keep them apart from the regular ones as much as you can. You want to keep all. I'm sorry. I was.